Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the weekly Q&A live stream where, I hate to report it, but it's been boring as fuck. Yep, pardon my French. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me this evening, whether you're watching live or watching back in recorded fashion later on this evening, it has been a boring few days. To be quite honest, and we're just going to try and have a bit of a laugh tonight, have a bit of a gab and catch up on all things Celtic, probably more dictated by your points of view and questions for me this evening rather than news that's actually out there, because, well, there's just not an awful lot to talk about. Not an awful lot. You'll notice that Kieran Tierney's in the thumbnail. Thought that could be some clickbait. Thought that because he's in the news again, we could maybe talk about that. Luckily enough though, and the main thing that we've got to talk about before I get welcoming you all in and all the rest of it, I guess the main positive that we can take from all of this, despite it being a bit of a boring field of conversation right now, is that Celtic are back this weekend. That's right, the international break is almost over. Celtic take on their title challengers Aberdeen this weekend at Celtic Park, in which is going to be a very exciting game, a very different experience against Aberdeen, an Aberdeen side who are flying and look like they could really be a pain in the backside of Celtic this season. We'll see how it goes on Saturday. We'll probably get talking about some of it tonight, but as Martin has said, thank God the proper football is back soon. I couldn't word it better myself. Good evening to Wizard Mortal, Davey, UTLR, Adam, Ben, Baldy Prick, nice to see you, Cam Fletcher, Christian, Andy, Helen, Mackenzie. It's nice to see you all, it really is, and thank you for tuning in when there isn't a lot of news out there, because I understand it's probably not the most attractive proposition to sit here for half an hour tonight when there is literally not much to talk about. Before I get into your questions and answers, I guess that I should address the thing that I put in the thumbnail, and that is the topic of Kieran Tierney, because I'm getting folk doing it again, commenting under my videos. Is Tierney coming back? No, he's not. Listen, I'll get out of the way. Oh, look at Dylan. Oh, I've not even said it, by the way. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to Dylan, who has gifted a Ryan118 membership. I don't know who is getting the Ryan118 membership from his gift, but everybody say thank you to Dylan. That is very kind of him. We had people gifting memberships last week. I only found out it was a thing last week, so if you want to become a Ryan118 channel member, then don't wait to be gifted it. You can do it if you choose to. It's nice to see you. Do I think that Rodgers will stay longer than his 3 years? You're kicking off with a bang, Alistair. Maybe, we'll see. We'll get to things like that. Let's talk about Kieran Tierney very, very quickly before we talk about Saturday and getting your questions in, because I think that there's a couple of things that need to get addressed. So, Kieran Tierney's name started floating around again this weekend after he was pictured at Celtic's London gala event. Over the weekend, he was photographed talking to Brendan Rodgers, which has got the optimistic and ambitious Celtic fans all gabbing as if there's a realistic chance he's coming back to Celtic in the very near future. Kieran Tierney was due to leave Arsenal in the past transfer window in the summer, but injury stopped that from happening. He wasn't capable of passing any medicals, anything like that, so he didn't get his departure, didn't get his exit from the club. But guess what? That exit wasn't going to be to Celtic Football Club. That was going to be to a club that was probably going to pay 20-25 million pounds for him. Certainly wasn't going to be Celtic. I don't think that story changes in January. I certainly don't think that story changes in the summer. And I certainly don't think that it necessarily automatically means it should change anyway if there was an opening. Kieran Tierney's got a lot of issues at the minute with injuries. I think that's probably the last thing that Celtic need to gamble on at the minute, especially considering he's on £110,000 a week. I put him in the thumbnail purely as clickbait tonight. You know my opinion on the whole Kieran Tierney stuff. I love him. I would kill to see him play for Celtic one more time. Is it going to happen in any of the next 6 to 12 months? Probably not. So that's all I have to say on it. It's great seeing him at these press events and the gala event. I love seeing that. But of course he's going to be at the press event and the London gala event because, well, he's from London. He's not from London. Sorry, my bad, Kieran. You're not from London. He lives in London. What an opportunity for him to go and talk to his old manager and people related to the club that he grew up supporting. I would love Kieran Tierney to come back to Celtic. Do I think it will happen? We'll talk about it in a moment. Kyle, thank you very much, my man. It's nice to see you become a channel member. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I see you in the streams all the time, so it's nice to see you take that one big next step, becoming a channel member. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've got a few people talking about Kieran Tierney. I'll go over some of the comments. So Michael saying too much of a gamble with the injury issues. If he can keep fit, then I'd take him back, says Mackenzie. I think that's like, listen, ultimately, put it this way, right? If Kieran Tierney was guaranteed to stay fit, I'd take him back in a heartbeat, of course, if it was affordable, if it wasn't ridiculous. It's a big question mark, isn't it? Alistair saying he's coming home because Greg is leaving. Ambitious, jumping the gun, perhaps. I don't know. Is as brittle as a digestive, says Baldy Prick. Do you have any insider knowledge on what Brendan might have said to KT to try and sweet talk him? No. I'm not going to pretend that I can read the conversation in the room, Lee, sadly. I'd imagine that they were catching up and having a great time and asking how each other are like normal people. If there was any... Listen, the way that I always look at it is that, you know, they'll always try and sweet talk him into coming back to Celtic. But for a guy who's currently on £110,000 a week, who had opportunities still knocking at the door for him, and as recent as this summer transfer window, he's not, for me, anywhere near a Celtic return yet. I've said this a million times before. This is why I hate this is it, Murray. I hate that we're actually sitting talking about it, and I'm going to wrap up this part of the conversation because I don't want to sit and talk about KT all night, because you either get moaned at for being a pessimistic prick and saying that he's not coming back, or you've got to deal with the very outlandish scenarios where he lands back at Celtic, and I can't be arsed with either, to be quite honest, Murray. What I will say about Kieran Tierney is I would kill to have him back, and I do truly believe deep down that one day he will pull on the hoops again. I just don't think it's in the next couple of years. I think that it's further down the line, closer to his retirement, when all of his options have maybe been exacerbated. That's not the word. Is it exacerbated? Yes. Whatever. No, not exacerbated. Whatever. When all his options have been used, when he's padded the bank balance as much as he possibly can, similar to, you know, you see Ramos going back to Sevilla with a year or two left of his career, or you see Santi Cazorla heading back to Real Girona, no, not Real Girona, Real Oviedo, with a couple of years, maybe a year left of his career. I do think that will probably be the case with Kieran Tierney. I just don't see it happen in the next couple of years. I subscribe to Ryan because he's the best source for Celtic news, but this is awkward all. Hello, Ian. Channel member, Aberdeen fan. I love that. Oh, did you? Oh, you got gifted it. Do you know what, Ian? Welcome to being a channel member. That's funny. So you got gifted. Out of everybody who could have been gifted one of the channel memberships, it was an Aberdeen supporter. Well, we'll see you on Saturday. We'll see you on Saturday, Ian. Was it his jaw that was broken when he rocked back up to Hampden and left the trophy? It was, yes. I can't create FM25 videos. The game's not out. Wizard Motto. I've seen the members only stream this week. I was hoping over the weekend we'd hear something from Sports Interactive, but we didn't. Let's see what else. Hunger Games when it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming this week. It's happening this week. When they retire, who do you think will have had the better career, Van Dijk or Frimpong? Probably Van Dijk. He's won the Premier League, Champions League. The European Cup for me is like, you know, the biggest prize you can win. And until Frimpong wins that, I'd probably say Van Dijk. But I would rather not have KT when he's 33 and turns like the Titanic. Well, you can't be picky about it. To be quite honest, you can't be picky. Anyway, right. Listen, I'm going to wrap up the. Listen. It was only put in the thumbnail tonight because it's international break and it seems to be the conversation. Do you notice a trend? This is where I'm going to finish off the Kieran Tierney point, and then I want to just get your questions and answers for the rest of this stream, maybe cover a couple of the things that are in the news, because I know people are asking questions, so I'll come to the chat in a moment, right? This is how I'll wrap it up. Do you notice a trend with the Kieran Tierney stuff? Do you notice? The only time the conversation sparks up is during an international break or a week in the transfer window where there's no news whatsoever. There's a reason for that, because people love drumming up a story and getting clicks, because the Daily Record, who have published the headline, let me see, what does their headline say? Their headline was, Kieran Tierney has Arsenal exit prevented as Celtic love him with Brendan Rodgers goes beyond emotional return. They like a wee, Kieran Tierney and Celtic in the same headline. Oh, that demands clicks. There's a reason for all of this. A reason for all of it, because it's just clicks, and that's all it is. And that's the reason I have him in the fucking thumbnail tonight, because I'm a scumbag as well. No, I'm not, but there wasn't a lot to talk about, so he had to go in there. Anyway, that's that. We're not going to talk about Kieran Tierney for the rest of this evening. That's that, because I want to go to you guys. However, for the rest of the news tonight, before I do go into the comment section, before I talk to you guys, there's not too much out there. Paul Tisdale, I seen Kyle asking for an update on Paul Tisdale and what the situation is. We have still not officially appointed him yet. I'm imagining that is something that will happen before the end of the working week. However, it's still really, really close. He's already been working with the club. Stephen McGowan, of course, always very reliable when it comes to his reports as well. That, I'm assuming, will happen before Friday. Whether or not Celtic make an official statement about it is a different story. Celtic might not bother making an official statement about it. Sometimes when it comes to roles outside of upper management and such as manager, assistant manager, coaches, and actually on the pitch related stuff, and outside the boardroom, they sometimes don't bother. This is one that might just quietly happen without us knowing. So what I'm saying is, don't necessarily expect some big song and dance made out of it from the club. Don't expect a comunicado oficial from Celtic, a big public statement about it. There might be, there might not be, but there's every chance this will quietly happen before the end of the week. That's what I'd say about the Paul Tisdale stuff. And apart from that, there isn't much else to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that's that. I think that's that for everything that I wanted to talk about. So let's get on to what you guys are talking about, because that's why we're here to do these live streams. We've got over 180 live viewers at the minute, so please, now more than ever, because these international breaks can take an impact on the channel momentum and such. If you are watching this, whether it's live or later on in the evening, please make sure to hit that like button. It's the most important thing and the most helpful thing that you can do for me during these international breaks. Go down below, hit that button. Let's get to talking about what you guys want to talk about. Aberdeen will be a tough game. I'm predicting a narrow 4-0 win to Celtic. Wow, God, cocky. After the last performance in the league, I wouldn't be so cocky. I think that it's going to be a very close one on Saturday, to tell you the truth. I think that it will be I don't think Celtic will win by more than one goal as a stat, but that might change by Friday. I think it could be a 2-1 or a 1-0 or a 3-2. I really do. I must admit, Baldy Prick, I admire your confidence, but right now I don't share it. FC 25 is out. Is it? That's great. Well, yeah. Adam saying, right, I'm not sure how to put this. My 6-day-old son loves your videos. Always stops greeting when he sees you on my phone. If that is true, that is unbelievable, because it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. He should not enjoy the sound of my voice. But if so, I love that. Send them my best. God bless you, the missus and the child. I love that. Still buzzing for you, Adam. Will you be sad when McCarthy's contract runs out? What a player he's been. It's done. He's terminated, man. He doesn't play for us anymore. He's gone. Do you think Bally will become first choice? I don't necessarily think it will happen anytime soon, but I think there's every chance of it. Absolutely. So we'll wait and see. It just depends how Taylor gets on with recovery from this injury. I think there's a number of factors that would be that maybe he's relying on to become first choice. I don't think there's necessarily a yes or no answer to that question. Any worries about our post-international performance, sharpness being one of them? Yeah, I guess you could talk about that, Craig, and I guess we'll cover that more in the podcast on Wednesday when we film. We're filming on Wednesday this week because I've got Chris Stapleton on Thursday night, so the podcast will be out a day early, as long as the studio's free. But I guess we'll talk about it more in depth there. But you have got a point. You do need to remember these things. They obviously do come into play. But listen, the way we've handled ourselves so far this season doesn't necessarily worry me. Our poorest league performance was the game before the international break, not after the first international break. So the Ross County game is our poorest league performance of the season. listen, the team should still be sharp enough and it shouldn't be used as an excuse, but it's certainly something that we will need to look out for. Has there been any word on the AGM by the way this year? Not yet, not from my understanding. I'm not a shareholder though. I don't know if it's only shareholders that get told details about it. So I'm going to have to jump down the chat because there's a lot. So if there's something you know how it works by now. If you desperately want me to answer something, please just keep putting it in because I am so far up the chat and so many more comments have come in. Hopefully a clean sheet so we can go through the season without conceding at Parker. That would be. I mean, imagine that. That would be insane. That would be utterly insane, Aaron. I doubt it's been able to do it, but it'd be nuts. I'd love to do it. Any news on injury and contract for Greg? No. Nothing yet. Especially in the contract front, it's really dry. It's as dry as the Sahara. Kyle saying that Aberdeen will be a tough game for us. They're a hard-working team, a decent quality of player. Need Bernardo and Rio for some energy. So an early call from Kyle to put Bernardo and Rio on the park to start on Saturday. Alistair saying that CCV should be back on Saturday as well. What I would say when it comes to injuries and such, people asking about Taylor, people asking about Cameron Carter-Vickers. I know it's not an exciting reply and it's pretty bog standard and it's what you'd expect from anybody to tell you. But listen, I'll tell you, you've just got to wait till Friday until we hear from Brendan Rodgers himself. Nothing reliable has leaked yet about the fitness of the players, and I've certainly not heard anything either. So yeah, you're just going to have to be patient until Friday for that sort of update. Trusty's fine, but not a CCV replacement yet. No, I mean, listen, it's hard for anybody. I think you need to spend big, and if we did, I suppose, 6 million is a lot of money to spend the centre-half, but I think you need to spend big to replace Vickers. He's arguably the best centre-half I've seen in my lifetime at Celtic. You know, he's up there with Van Dijk in terms of what they've done at the club. Obviously, Van Dijk's went on to be one of the greatest centre-halves we've probably ever seen, but I mean, just at their time in Celtic, you know, Vickers is, I think he genuinely is the best that they've had in my lifetime. So, you know, you probably need to spend big to match that, and I think it's a lot to expect from Trusty, because Vickers has just been unbelievable. It didn't watch... no, it's not justified. He scored 3 tap-ins, Lubo. But I'm not saying there's nothing to be positive about, absolutely not, but, you know what Celtic supporters are like. We like to get carried away with things, and some people think it means that Palmer's about to become the next Cristiano Ronaldo or something. But listen, be positive about it by no means, but not maybe as positive as what some people are. Hatate, Bernardo, McGowan, who starts? But this weekend, McGregor, I think against Aberdeen. Personally, I'm not saying this is what I want, but I think that this weekend it'll be McGregor, Hatate and Engels. I think that'll be the 3 that start of the weekend. 5 are on Luke McCown to win the Hunger Games. We should start doing a book, yeah? Every year, start doing a book for it. And like donate all the losing money to charity or something. That's actually a good idea. I might. It's too late to do it now, especially because I've actually recorded it. No, I've not. I'm lying. I just didn't want to put the effort. It's too late now to do it. But next year I might do that. Open a book and you can put like and we'll make odds or something. But then again, can you really make odds? I don't know. But it would be a good idea in theory to give money to charity. Well, I'll be sad when Gary Hooper leaves. Absolutely. Devastated. I've gave my start in midfield. Do you think we'll go unbeaten versus Rangers this season? The squads and managers are night and day. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. I think Clement is arguably the worst Rangers manager I've seen in my lifetime. I think he's worse than Beale, personally. The squads are, of course, night and day. I think we can go unbeaten against them, but it's also very early in the season. You don't know what's going to happen with them. For all we know, Clement could be gone by the end of the season and they could bring in somebody and they might improve drastically. But as it stands, yeah, of course we could. It's not a matter of will we, it's a matter of, could we? And of course we could. Let's see, what else is it? You've missed it a little too. You need to go back and watch the start of the stream. Going to meet my wee nephew tonight. I'll check if he also likes listening to 118. Yes. I'm a voice of a generation. That sounds terrible. That sounds so cocky. I'm the voice of a generation. As if I'm fucking Fidel Castro or something. Will Yang come good by the end of the season? He's certainly been better than Palmer. I think that it's I think that it's difficult to make an assumption with players like Yang because we really don't know how much game time they'll get. So, like, to say that he'll come good is really difficult when you don't necessarily know if he'll have the chance to come good. So I think it's a hard question to answer. Listen, I made my thoughts clear on Yang. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's good enough. But it doesn't mean I want him to fail, and I would love to see him do well. So we just need to wait and see how many minutes he gets. No, I don't. Engels won't be benched at the weekend, I don't think. If Aberdeen win on Saturday, wow, Aidan jumped into the real questions. Here is a good talking point, and this is, I guess, something that we'll maybe we'll talk about on the podcast. If Aberdeen were to win on Saturday, do we start taking them seriously as title contenders? Yeah, of course. I don't see why not. And I think it would be... Look, listen, I think it's very, very simple to sit down and say, they'll fall away. You know, they'll fall away. And it is only match day 8. There's another 30 to go. Can Aberdeen sustain that level of performance from now to the end of the season? Realistically speaking, no. And I think that most Aberdeen fans would tell you realistically no as well. But it doesn't mean you suddenly just go, we'll wait for them to slip up. Because they might not. So I think that you do need to take them seriously if they're to win at the weekend. But obviously that's something that we want to avoid. So we do play Aberdeen on Saturday, Jason. Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff at Celtic Park. Got to change my profile picture, so be warned. I have been warned. I'm waiting to see what happens. Noodle saying let's whitewash the Rangers this year. Absolutely, I'd love to do that. I think that it would be a real statement once again. Ryan 118 AI voice generator that is terrifying. The thought of that, isn't it? Imagine me reading a nighttime story and then the voice going through the house. No way. Aaron saying, in fairness, I was watching you when I was in 4th year and now I'm in my 20s and decrepit, if that counts as a generation. That is, yeah, I've been doing this since I was in... What year was I in when I started properly doing this? 2016-17. I would have been in 4th year as well, I think. You think you're decrepit, Aaron? You've just given me a fucking midlife crisis. Trusty unlikely to play on Saturday. USA playing Thursday morning, Mexico. Good point, Alistair. Good point. For that reason, I'd love Cameron Carter-Vickers to be back. To be quite honest. Mark bringing up the point. I knew this was going to... I've seen a few comments regarding it and people talking about the fact that I'm wearing Dortmund colours tonight. Listen, I know this season that might be controversial. I have 5-a-sides after this, and when I'm playing 5-a-sides, I just wear any random football top I've got. And today Dortmund has been picked. I like collecting football shirts. Well, not so much nowadays as I used to, but still do. And this is what's been picked for tonight, sadly. So, aye. Yang has shown he has something, but not here. Yang has something about him. I think he can become good for Celtic. I think the jury is still very much out on him, but how long can the jury last is the question. I think when it comes to Yang, as Planet Celtic says, I think he shows promising spells, but he's far too inconsistent, and that's pretty much my biggest problem with Yang. And when it comes to Yang, let's see, we will tell our kids about Callum McGregor. Our kids will tell their kids about Ryan Money. Do you know what do you know what I think is nuts? Like, yeah. And by the way, what about I was in my documentary on Celtic TV. I wasn't told about that. That was out of nowhere. I was on TikTok and I heard my voice over it. I was like, what? It was a jump scare. It's like Kasper Schmeichel. And I was like, what? I didn't get alerted of this. I'm not complaining. You know, people were replying to my tweet like, sue them. I'm not going to sue the club for using my voice. I think it's quite cool. Although I would have enjoyed money, to be fair. But I've always thought about, see, like, I can't imagine doing this when I'm like 50. Even though it's what I want to be doing when I'm 50. I can't imagine like generations watching me. That's just weird to me. You know, that's I don't really want to think about being 50, to be honest. No offence to anybody of the age of 50 or above. Bless you. Life's flying by. It's going far too fast for me. Stop talking to Crepit. Yeah. 66. No, of course, great age, fantastic age, buddy. Don't worry. I have so much respect for my elders that I think that, you know, wisdom is to be passed on. I'm talking absolute nonsense now. I've digged myself in the hole here, haven't I? Germany is a nation of 50 million, Scotland only 5 million, Dortmund and us have different financials. Yeah, no excuse for 7-1. Can't keep using the excuse. But you're right, Jason. You're right. Kyogo in the Highlands, yes, I did see that. Hope he enjoyed himself. It's cold up there at a minute. Yang needs to go on loan to get some minutes. Yes, potentially. Either that or he just goes, that's right, bro, GOAT status of Celtic knows about you. Listen, I'm glad they know about me, and yeah, I'd like to hope so, considering I get invited to the fan media stuff, and like, you know, but I it was just a pleasant surprise. Usually you expect to hear, like, I don't know, Jim White's voice at moments like that. Instead it's me. Oh, hopefully Casper's watched it, man. Who's that guy with a gorgeous voice? If Greg Taylor was to leave, who would I choose for his replacement? Listen, I don't necessarily know the answer to that. I think that one of the guys who I think would be a good option would be Christopher Lund, who was linked with the club in the summer. I like the look of him. Did he get a move in this summer? I'm going to look this up. If you don't know who Christopher Lund is, you can maybe do some research in and see if you think he's American. But he was born in Denmark, but he plays for the USA national team, I think. Unless, yeah, he does play for the USA national team. He's currently playing for Palermo, and I think he would be a cracking left-back option for us. So right now, he would be one of the people that I would say. So yeah, I maybe go for that. Right, we'll make kit rankings in the 26th. It'll be interesting to see who's won the most kit rankings by then. 2069 70 is ambitious. I'm no certain I'm making it that long, but you know, I hope so. Just not certain about it, you know. John Lennon said he wouldn't be singing "She Loves You" when he was 40. He was right. Well, he was. Rest in peace, my idol, John Lennon. I love him. I actually just finished a book on the assassination of John Lennon that was really, really good. Don't know why anybody would care about that, but I just thought I'd bring it up because somebody brought up John Lennon. Palma has more than goals and assists than Yang. Yeah, he does. He does indeed. I think it's more the eye test. Yang passes easier than Palma, doesn't it? Isn't Bally supposed to be Taylor's heir? Yeah, I hope he is. You know, I'm sitting talking about Christopher Lund there, but I mean, ideally, Bally turns out to be the Celtics' next left back. That's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, we just don't have the sufficient evidence yet to say that that's going to be the case. Alistair saying Doig's a weird one, because for me, I always said Doig as well. But then, like, during the summer, I was looking at it, and I was like, is he actually doing that well in Italy? Like, it's not as if he's doing Ferguson levels of magic, and I don't think he is, like, necessarily setting the world alight. So, like, I don't know if there's much to say that he's good enough. I don't know. I think he's just one of those names that people always assume he's good enough. But I don't think there's, you know, it's actually there. But who knows? In a couple of years' time, we'll see. Do you think we'll ever see a nighttime derby again? Only if it's in the cup, I think. I think that's the only way it happens. If it happens in the cup. But then I think that Police Scotland and the organisers, or whoever it is, SFA, SPFL, whatever, would be desperate to move it to the weekend. I think it'll be very rare over the next few years that we ever see that happen again. I think they want to avoid it. There needs to be complete transparency with all Celtic staff appointments. It's important to see how our money is being spent. I agree, St Vincent. I very much agree with you. I think there should be complete transparency as well. KT 8 million to replace Taylor. Would you do it? I mean, are we just assuming that Arsenal would let him go for 8 million, Craig? If they were letting him go for 8 million, I don't know. I said I didn't want to talk about him for the rest of the stream, to be honest. 8 million for a left back that might play 10 out of 30 games in a season. 10 out of 40 games in a season, I should say. I don't know. I really don't know. Is there definitely the 3 million release clause in his contract? Yes, it's not a release clause. Well, yeah, sorry, it is a release clause. My bad, Ben. Yes, there definitely is. His contract was changed. He has a £3 million release clause in it that can be triggered by any team. It's not one that's exclusive to Celtic. It's not what I meant to say was it's not a obligation or option to buy clause. It's a release clause that anybody could trigger. But you'd like to think if Celtic want to sign him that maybe a gentleman's agreement would be back in place. Do I think that Sinsalo could be the replacement for Schmeichel? I mean, maybe. But we've not seen enough of him yet to make that assumption. Still very young. He's got a long career ahead of him. And listen, there's no point. Listen, Schmeichel's just here, so let's enjoy him at the minute before we start thinking too much about that. Well, I have my Man United top on tomorrow for Ronaldo. I'm not a Ronaldo fanboy, to be quite honest. I think that Ronaldo's quite a controversial character, to tell the truth. As a football player, absolute legend, of course. But yeah, I'm not a Ronaldo fanboy. I wasn't a Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not the reason that I liked Manchester United. It was Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney's my favourite footballer ever. It was never Ronaldo for me. I did obviously love Ronaldo when I was 8 years old, but you know, I kind of grew up. Messi's better, so yeah, that's big. One of the biggest parts of it, of course, is talking about the wage. So yeah, hold on. Right, I need to go. I need to go. Very, very suddenly, but we are at the half-hour mark. We may have another one of these streams during the week. So, yes. Thank you for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Kyle and Dylan for the memberships. Dylan gifting his, which I think landed with an Aberdeen supporter, which is quite funny ahead of this weekend. But thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I need to get moving to five-a-sides anyway. So, members only stream through the week, all the rest of it. Thank you very much. Gracias. I'll see you next time.